Hello, everyone. Welcome to the ARA Bilingual Education Research Special Interest Group's 2020 Virtual Award Celebration. Thank you for making time to join us tonight to take an opportunity to really celebrate everything that has been accomplished, both by our awardees as well as the volunteers and members of our working groups in the 2019-2020 year. So first of all, I just want to, for those of you that are not familiar with our SIG, to let you know that we are a collective working to support and advance research and critical issues regarding or surrounding bilingual education and bilingualism worldwide. We do this specifically by just exchanging information, encouraging research and policy, promoting innovative approaches, as well as mentoring each other and spurring each other's work on. We are a close community and we work to really do whatever we can to not just advance our individual work, but also look at our work as a collective and how it's moving the field and policy. So I want to just raise, as it's important to do, that if you haven't already, please consider renewing your membership to ARA before the end of the year, and specifically to the Bilingual Education Research SIG as a way to continue to support the efforts that we put forth to benefit you. Okay, so I also want to thank some individuals that really made today's event possible. First, Planning Committee, which consisted of Deb Palmer, Maria Cody, Sandra Lou Bonanno, and myself, and with support today from two of our graduate student members, Cohen Park and Nu Ozu. Thank you so much for helping make this possible. I also want to extend a special thanks. You'll see behind me the incredible artwork that was produced by Dr. Chris Baltus, a longtime member of our SIG. He has always been gracious in sharing his artistic creativity with the SIG in support of our efforts, and gave us permission to be able to use this image in our promotion as well as in the event itself for today. So if you get to see Chris, please extend our thanks, right, for his generosity, specifically for this particular work, which he calls Working Hands, which is just stunning. Thank you so much, Chris, for all that you do, and especially for your sharing of your wonderful gift. Today, we celebrate the hard work and accomplishments of our 2020 awardees and volunteers. And as we announce each award winner, please feel free to unmute yourself to join in the clapping of the soundtrack that we will be playing through the course of the awards. Also, feel free to use the chat room to offer your personal congratulations, either privately to the person that won the award or to everyone, so that everybody can see your congratulations. So without further ado, I want us to kind of move on to announce the first set of awards. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Kwon Sung of the University of Kansas and Dr. Kara Bieszka from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, who were co-chairs this past year for the Graduate Student Travel Awards. Restrictions. The monetary prize for this award was not received by our award winners. They nevertheless retained the recognition associated with that award, and they'll remain eligible to actually reapply for this award in the coming years. So I want to pass it on to Kara and to Kwang.
Thank you, Veronica. My name is Kwang Sung, and I'm an assistant professor at the University of Kansas. I was very fortunate to co-chair this committee with Dr. Kara Bieszka from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Kara. Thank you, Kara, for your leadership and mentorship on this committee. Also, we were able to We were able to get to work with a wonderful group of committee members. They are Dr. Christine Leader. I'm not sure if you're able to join us. Dr. Sandra Quinones, Dr. Patricia Venegas Weber, Dr. Dion Heffington, and Zhangfang Tian. Thank you so much for your service. The Graduate Student Travel Award is intended to support a graduate student's financial cost to attend the ARA meeting. Each year, Bilingual Education Research SIG offers this award to a few graduate students whose proposals get accepted to the program, and the graduate students should be the sole author or the lead author of their papers. We received a set of wonderful proposals and applications earlier this year. It is my great pleasure to announce this year's Graduate Student Travel Award. Park Ko-eun from the University of Utah, Kim Hyuna from the University of Toronto, and Kim Wan-hee from Purdue University.
These are all some really outstanding scholars that everyone should keep their eyes on. We have every expectation of a lot more great work coming from each of them.
I just want to applaud since we don't have our sound effect working. But thank you to all of you. And thank you, Kara and Kwang, for the work in your, that you and your committee did in the 2019-2020 academic year. I now would like to ask Deb Palmer, who was chair of the 2019-2020 Outstanding Dissertation Award Committee, to come forward and introduce our next set of award winners.
Yes, I need to stay off of mute because I'm the one who's managing the sound effects. This is Deb Palmer. I'm so excited to be here as the chair of the Dissertation Awards Committee. I had the honor of working with a fabulous group of colleagues. This award recognizes promising new researchers in the field of bilingual education whose dissertations were completed within the past 2 years. Along with my colleagues, Dan Hyman, Steve Prismus, Fui Tong, and Garrett Delavan, I got to read through 17 recent dissertations, and there is so much exciting work being produced in our field and such excellent scholarship. After much deliberation, which I promise you was actually very challenging, we selected 3 top winners, and I hope you'll join me in congratulating them. In our 3rd place winner, Maria Peña's dissertation was titled Yo Soy Su Mamá, Latinx Mothers Raising Emergent Bilinguals Labeled as Dis/Abled. Her chair was Professor Ophelia Garcia at CUNY Graduate School. Felicidades, Maria.
Yay.
Hi, this is Maria Choi Peña coming to you from Northern New Jersey. First, I want to say thank you to the Bilingual Education Research SIG for honoring this work. In a year full of dark clouds, this was a welcome silver lining. My dissertation, Yo Soy Su Mamá, Latinx Mothers Raising Emergent Bilinguals Labeled as Disabled, aimed to address some of the injustices that I as a classroom teacher saw perpetuated against emergent bilingual learners with disabilities and their families. The purpose of my study was first and foremost to center the stories of Spanish-dominant Latinx mothers of children with disabilities, a group oft discussed but rarely consulted. Secondly, I was interested in understanding how the lives of these mothers are impacted by school-based decisions, particularly those around language and program placement. Ultimately, this project provided a counter-narrative to research that historically has framed Latinx mothers as ill-suited and/or disconnected from their children's learning. This dissertation recognizes the need for us to bring mothers and families to the center of conversations on language and language policies, as well as the need for us to discuss the linguistic desires and rights of children with disabilities. I'm again extremely honored to have this work recognized by the BER SIG in this way. I want to thank my committee at the Graduate Center, David Connor, Wendy Luttrell, and Michelle Fine for their teaching, encouragement, and support. I will be forever grateful to my chair, advisor, and mentor, Dr. Ofelia Garcia, who so fully nurtured me and my research. I also want to thank my family. Finally, I want to thank the mothers and families who shared their stories with me so that I could share them with the world. Thank you. Hi.
The second prize winner was awarded to Chris Chang-Bacon, whose dissertation was titled Monolingual Language Ideologies, Rethinking Equity and Language Policy in Sheltered English Immersion Teacher Education. His dissertation chair was Dr. Patrick Proctor at Boston College. Congratulations, Chris.
Hi, everyone. This is Chris Chang-Bacon, beaming in from Charlottesville, Virginia, with just a lot of gratitude to the SIG and the committee for this award. My dissertation looked at the work of teachers and particularly teacher educators in the state of Massachusetts who participated in an initiative to endorse over 70,000 teachers in the state in sheltered English immersion, but also looked at the educators who pushed back against some of the monolingual orientations of sheltered English immersion in the state. So I first of all want to thank those participants who did and are continuing to do that work. And others involved in that work include my committee members, who I also want to thank. Patrick Proctor at Boston College, who chaired my dissertation and made sure it was a completable dissertation, which are the best types of dissertations I've come to find out. So thank you, Patrick. And also to my other committee members, Annie Homza, Rebecca Lowenhaupt, and Kara Vieska, who not only really helped me with the dissertation itself, but also have always been amazing models and mentors of what impactful teaching and scholarship can look like. And then finally to the Bilingual Education Research SIG itself, which has always, since I was a doctoral student, been a sort of home at AERA and has provided mentorship and programming that has just been indispensable to me as a scholar and has allowed me to meet so many amazing people. So thank you to the committee for taking the time to read and consider my work. And thanks to the entire SIG for all the work that you've done. And I'm sure we'll continue to do. Hope to see you all in person very soon. And thanks again. Hi, everyone.
Fantastic. And in first place, the outstanding dissertation for 2020 for the Bilingual Education Research Special Interest Group was authored by Erika Saldivar Garcia, whose dissertation was Racial Literacies, Race and Subjectivity in the Teaching of Spanish to Bilingual Latinx Students. Her dissertation chair was Dr. Nelson Flores at the University of Pennsylvania. Congratulations, Erika.
Everyone, it's a pleasure to be with you today. I'd like to start off by thanking Vero and Deb and everyone who put time and effort into organizing today's award ceremony. Thank you so much. It's an honor to receive this award. And this work actually started a while ago when I started to teach Spanish as a second language or foreign language to already bilingual Latinx students. During our after-school conversations, my students and I really shared our frustrations with the classroom as both students and teachers, and really started to come up with ways in which together we could create a classroom environment where their bilingualism was respected and acknowledged, and not, tried to be minimized or ignored or anything else that was suggested to me throughout many resources that I was taking a look at the time. This award is really a representation of the work that we began all those years ago. We imagined a Spanish language classroom where we could move past monoglossic norms, where we could name the oppressive structures that exist within world and heritage language education, and where we could also draw on the knowledge base of bilingual education to move past the very racist and classist and unjust structures that have been around for so long in world and heritage language education. And really the narratives that maintain that bilingual Latinx students are not only the wrong kinds of bilinguals, but that they are also severely in need of remediation due to their illiteracy. In this dissertation, I interrogated some of the most troubling narratives that I encountered as a teacher through a process of policy discourse analysis. I took a look at Spanish as a foreign language, Spanish as a heritage language textbooks, a state model curriculum for world languages, Spanish standards, and 8 years worth of advanced placement exams to really take a look at how the bilingualism of bilingual Latinx students specifically was being represented, talked about, discussed, and portrayed. What I found was that when I took these influential curricular resources together, they discursively created and reified at least 2 specific subject positions for bilingual Latinx students. On the one hand, they were portrayed as capable illiterates, which taking to mean students who cannot read or write, but that have a high potential in order to be able to get there. This became evident through consistent messages that urged teachers to be cautious and to not be deceived by their bilingual students' apparent proficiency. On the other hand, these resources also portrayed bilingual Latinx students as cultural ambassadors for their second language peers. And this subject position perhaps isn't super surprising to many of us, but it does point to the severe exploitation of bilingual Latinx students' linguistic and community connections and skills for the benefit of middle and upper class white monolingual students, while at the same time being denied those very similar opportunities in the same educational space. The biggest takeaway from this work for me was examining these subject positions relative to their historical evolution in the heritage and world language fields. Though the language that is now used to refer to heritage, so-called heritage language students, has changed from time to time, and our assessment of how to best meet their needs has been reevaluated. When it comes down to instructional practice, things really haven't changed that much. Since the writing of the dissertation, I've traced narratives that I found in the dissertation to narratives that existed back in the 1950s. So again, we're looking at across time, these narratives still maintain. And so the question for me becomes, why have they remained the same and what can we do about it? In the interest of time, I'll take the opportunity to put in a plug for you to read my upcoming book based on the dissertation, where I discuss my ideas of how to move forward and make it accessible to teachers and practitioners to do so. I promise the book is coming soon, and it will be something that you could use in your classrooms. And it would really be a disservice to share this work and talk about it without acknowledging the deep influence of my committee. So I'd like to thank Diane Woff, who gave me the necessary nudges to never lose sight of how this work can impact practice and teachers directly. And Pomerantz, also a fellow former Spanish teacher, who really encouraged me and helped me connect the bigger dots of what my work was unveiling as it went along. And of course, Nelson Flores, with whom this work would have not been possible. Nelson has been such a critical force in this dissertation and really my loudest porrista. But Nelson isn't just a cheerleader. He is also someone who has encouraged me to be loud and bold and proud of my work and to share it widely. I am so thankful to each of you, and I hope that you know that this work is also a representation of your great mentorship. I'm also thankful to countless other folks who've read drafts of this dissertation through chapters or presentations where I share preliminary findings. So there are many of you, and I apologize if I miss anyone, but I'd like to give a huge shout out to Eve Hack, Jonathan Rosa, Sofia Chaparro, Laura Chavez Moreno, Wendy Castillo, Emily Schwab, Ryan Miller, and many, many others who have been so helpful to me throughout this process. Thank you so much.
So we look forward to continuing contributions from each of our dissertation award winners. Thank you so much to all three of you for the incredible contributions that you've made to our field. I'd like to now introduce or ask Dr. Olenoff Sharon to be able to come forward and introduce her committee and the next award winner.
I'm happy to do that. Okay, so where did my file go? Okay, it's over here. All right, so first of all, I do want to thank my amazing committee of Dr. Anila Timant and Dr. Rosalba Gonzalez. We got a late start and they worked over break to help me to get to be able to select this wonderful award winner that we're presenting to you today. So I'm going to say a few words about her. I probably could say about 12 pages worth of words about her after reading her file and reading her letters of support, but I'll keep it down to one slightly long paragraph. So it's an honor to introduce Dr. Mandy Stewart, the 2020 Bilingual Education Research SIG Early Career Awardee. We offer this award to scholars in their first 10 years after completing the dissertation. I want to give you some insight into the reasons for her selection for this award. Dr. Stewart has an impressive record for an early career scholar. Since earning her PhD in 2012, not that long ago, from the University of North Texas, she has received numerous multiple dissertation awards, including the Bilingual Education Research SIG Award, Outstanding Dissertation Award. She has published more than 20 articles in peer-reviewed journals, including the Bilingual Research Journal and the International Multilingual Research Journal, several books chapters. It goes on and on and on. And I haven't even gotten to the invited presentations, the invited chapters, the invited articles. She also does op-eds and podcasts. Her research agenda is well articulated. She is a prolific presenter at regional, national, international conferences. But the thing that strikes me most about her work is her collaborative work with her colleagues and her graduate students, which is so impressive and so welcome in our field. Something we really honor. She's also gotten awards and other things. But what I want to end with is this quote from Dr. Stewart's 2014 op-ed on Fox News Latino, so she even infiltrated Fox News, which I feel exemplifies why the committee selected her. She said, "So from a research perspective, bilingual is better. From the perspective of an educator, I've seen how dual language programs that view language as a resource greatly benefit students learning English. And I have seen far too often the damaging effects of years of schooling that views one language as a problem or merely a crutch. States should be in the business of adding to children's linguistics toolkit and not asking them to leave their best tool at home." Congratulations, Dr. Stewart.
I'm so thankful for this award. I put together a little remix of parts of my career with some of you that I would like to thank. So here we go. The foundational principles of my research are people, people, people. So allow me to share some of those people who have profoundly impacted my life. I started my career as an educator in Fort Worth ISD as a 20-year-old who was hired as a bilingual teacher assistant to work in some of their bilingual programs. And I'll never forget a young third grade student who came up to me in my first month on the job and took my hair in her hands and asked me a good question. She said, "Miss, ¿de qué parte de México es? What part of Mexico are you from?" So I explained to her, I'm from the part of Mexico that we now call East Texas. That does beg the question of how does a small town country girl like myself end up in this career? And a lot of that is some of the young people you see who became my students the first 4 years of my career as a teacher in the International Newcomer Academy.
Since then, I've loved going into different high schools, working with students from all over the world, mainly engaging in reading and writing with them. I'm thankful to my messy bun and getting it done twin, Holly Genova, who is a high school ESOL teacher for newcomers. She has so graciously allowed me to come into her classroom and try out what Readers and Writers Workshop might look like from a multilingual perspective with a little bit of controlled chaos. So thank you, Holly, for partnering with me in that. Next, I am so grateful to Ali Babineau, who has really helped me take a critical stance in my research as we investigate people's literacies and languaging to understand their complex truths with armed love for the end purpose of transformational justice. So thank you, Ali. To my grant colleagues at Texas Women's University, I love working with you. Carolyn and Liliana, y'all are the best of the best. Jorge, mi primo de la fanny pack, the best is yet to come in our projects we have coming up. And Holly Hanson-Thomas, I will be forever grateful that you mentored me when I first got to Texas Women's University and then have partnered with me for many years now. I will stand with you at a podium as we present to the Board of Regents. I will wade with you through knee-deep water in small-town Costa Rica as we are searching for our bilingual pre-service teachers. So whatever it is, I am glad that you are by my side. I'm thankful to my undergraduate students who have sometimes become part of my research and have taught me so much about multilingualism and transnationalism. They have helped me have fun and put up with all of my crazy, even when I say, we gotta go to the pool today to learn about bilingual acquisition processes, or sometimes you really just gotta be the book. My master's students are practicing teachers who are bilingual teachers, reading specialists, or high school teachers, and who are putting into practice so much of the theory that all of you write about. And I'm very grateful that they've invited me into their classroom on many different occasions and allowed me to see them working with their students. Most recently, I've enjoyed working with my doctoral students and having them refine my own views that inform my research as they ask me questions to understand how these theories can really be applied in a real world classroom in a system we might not agree with. They take what we learn to heart, sometimes even getting it tattooed on their arms, such as our reading by Paulo Freire. I've recently got to see two of them get their own PhDs, and I love working with all of my doctoral students, and y'all watch out for them because they are going to do some amazing work, better things than I could ever do, and I'm just very fortunate to be a small part of their journeys. Lastly, I want to thank all of you in the Bilingual Education Research SIG. You have influenced me in so many ways, whether it's through reading your work and your research or by actually getting to work with you when we come to our meetings each year. I've particularly benefited from the mentoring working group. I've had two amazing mentors as a mentee, Dr. Chris Faltis and Dr. Rebecca Callahan. And I'm also thankful for the people I've worked with in the working group who have taught me so much. Kristen Pratt, when I think of someone who is kind and humble and sincere, I think of you. And if I can be half of that, then I will certainly be a better person. It wouldn't be me if I didn't end this with my favorite line from a country song. She ain't all found, but she ain't all that lost. And that's certainly true because I ain't all found. Sometimes I feel like I'm going in a million different directions with literacy and language and practical classroom research with critical theories, but it's because of all of you and you accepting me and supporting me and teaching me so much that at the end of the day, I ain't all that lost either. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mandy, for sharing your insights and the amazing career and outreach and connections that you've made. We look forward to your continued contributions in the years to come, knowing that it's just going to continue to get better. So thank you to Mandy for also allowing us to celebrate your accomplishments as a group, as a collective, and for all that you bring to our collective as well. I'd like to ask Liz Howard from the University of Connecticut to come forward to introduce our 2020 Lifetime Achievement Award winner. Liz, are you here?
Yes, I am, just unmuting. Thank you, Veronica.
Perfect.
Great. So I'll be presenting the Lifetime Achievement Award, and I had the pleasure of working with the other committee members, Chris Faltis, Claudia Peralta, and Erika Saldivar Garcia, who we just heard from with the Dissertation Award. So congratulations, Erika. And we review the application for our esteemed honoree this year. The Lifetime Achievement Award recognizes the lifetime achievement of an outstanding world-class scholar whose work has made a notable impact on the field of bilingual education through continuous scholarship in bilingual education research and practices, services to bilingual education at the national and local levels, and steady mentorship of students and early career scholars. So on behalf of the AERA Bilingual SIG Lifetime Achievement Award Committee, I'm truly delighted and honored to be presenting the 2020 award to Dr. Kenji Hakuda, the Lee L. Jacks Professor of Education Emeritus at Stanford University. Kenji was nominated by Dr. Karen Thompson of Oregon State University and Dr. Luis Posa of San Jose State University, with letters of support from Dr. Diane August of AIR and Dr. Ilana Umansky of the University of Oregon, all former advisees who speak powerfully to Kenji's mentorship. All of their letters were beautiful and powerful and spoke to Kenji's deep impact on the field, as well as on the personal and professional lives of their writers. And if it's allowed by the SIG, we really should share the letters with you, Kenji, because they really are a beautiful testament to your impact. When I was thinking about what I would like to say about Kenji, given all of his accomplishments, what most came to mind is that he's a pioneer in engaged scholarship, consistently carrying out rigorous scholarship on various aspects of language acquisition and language policy, but also consistently translating those findings to address questions of policy and practice for multilingual learners. In writing her letter of support, Ilana spoke to this, commenting how in recent years, Kenji's been speaking about the importance of Pasteur's quadrant, which refers to research that advances both the field and is of high utility to the world. And this perfectly encapsulates Kenji's body of work. Through his service as a member of 2 National Academy panels that have focused on English learners, the first of which she chaired, he has shaped educational policy and practice for generations of multilingual learners. His initiatives, such as the Working Group on ELL Policy, Understanding Language, and SERP, likewise involve a combination of rigorous research and clear application to practice and have been impactful beyond measure. I'd like to close with the words of Ilana Umansky in her letter of support, who I think speaks for so many of us when she says, "I think of Dr. Hakuda as a true model of who I want to be as a human. He is kind, adventuresome, brilliant, committed, and well-rounded. His legacy is evident in just about every piece of multilingual student law and policy in the country, and it is also evident in the new generation of multilingual student education policy scholars. In my mind, he could not possibly do a better job of embodying the attributes of the Bilingual Education Research SIG's Lifetime Achievement Award." The other committee members and I wholeheartedly agree with her. Congratulations, Kenji.
In accepting this wonderful award, I wanted to start by expressing my appreciation for some individuals who got me into this field and then to share some insights with you. I think mentors are really important, and sometimes people who mentor and influence you may not themselves be aware that they are, in fact, influencing you. These are more informal people who you run into, who open doors, who give you encouragement. And one of them was Aida Comulada, now Aida Luz, who was then the director of bilingual programs in the New Haven Public Schools. Another was Edmund Gordon, a prominent Black child developmental psychologist who at that time was a senior mentor, senior faculty member in the Department of Psychology at Yale University. Psychology departments are typically not areas or places where much work in education is done. A strange paradox that that somehow there's a separation between psychology departments and schools of education. I was trained in very traditional psychology and linguistics, but Edmund Gordon was a person who was very involved in education at that time, and he kind of showed me the way in how to work with schools and how it was okay to do this kind of work. And so just an important point that there are these people who might influence you, and without them, you might not have moved into this area. I wanted to share now how I got into some of the debates and issues of many wonderful, interesting areas in this field. How I got into some of the early debates on bilingual education was back in the 1980s. What defined the field at that time was the debate over Title VII of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, the Bilingual Education Act. And there was a debate over two issues. One was the cap placed on bilingual programs, the percent of programs that can, there was a cap placed on English-only programs that were funded under the Bilingual Education Act. And that came under attack by then Secretary of Education William Bennett, as well as the issue of the time limit for children to remain in bilingual programs. The issue then was some of the active players in this were the Center for Applied Linguistics. There was a Tracy Gray and Dick Tucker, the president of the Center for Applied Linguistics, who really encouraged me to bring some of my research on the positive effects of bilingualism and on second language acquisition to the table to bear on that debate. And so I really wanted to express my appreciation to my colleagues at the Center for Applied Linguistics. Donna Christian at that time was active there as well. How I got into the battles in the court of law, I would point to Peter Roos, attorney with Meta, who worked with Roger Rice and a number of other attorneys at litigating bilingual cases against states and school districts. Peter Roos was got me involved in writing testimony, expert briefs, et cetera, in a number of cases. Denver, Teresa P. versus Berkeley. He and I also got involved with the Prop 227 in California, the UNS initiative. But there, Peter really, I think, got me into this from the perspective of research, both basic research as well as program evaluation research. Those of you who are familiar with Castañeda and the prongs of Castañeda, prong one really refers to the theory of upon which programs are based, and really speaks to kind of our basic understanding about how long it takes kids to learn a second language, the influences of bilingualism, And then prong 3 is the efficacy of the programs. So that really is more about evaluation research. And both of those are really important in litigation of these cases around effective programming for English learners. And Peter Roos, for some reason, decided he had a good stooge in me to basically put up with what the courtroom requires of evidence around these cases. I also want to share with you how I got into the whole standards-based reform movement, which began in the really pretty much the late 80s to early 90s. And that really became the framework around which what was the Bilingual Education Act under Title VII really turned into more of a English language acquisition program, even though it for a while continued to retain the name bilingual in the statute. But really it was what brought the whole issue of English language proficiency standards as another set of standards in in framing what the federal and state and local relations are around program accountability. And the stimulus for that work came from the Carnegie Corporation of New York, where Diane August earlier in her career had been a program officer, and they had maintained an interest in education reform. The corporation got in touch with me during the beginning of standards-based reform to ask me to lead an effort to try to bring together researchers and advocates and policymakers around what that means for English learners, especially around assessment, accountability, and those kinds of pieces. Marshall or Mike Smith was, at that time, I'd moved to Stanford, and he was my dean at Stanford, very involved in federal policy. And in some ways, he was very kind of a ringleader in the policy world to bring standards into education reform. And Mike was very encouraging again to get involved in this area of policy. And standards-based reform, of course, has evolved in a number of ways. Once after the Improving America's Schools Act in 1994, you had No Child Left Behind, and then the Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA, which is the current law. All of those are different iterations of standards-based reform. And so these all kind of are areas in which, as a researcher, I was able to play a fairly active role in the policy process. A couple of lessons I wanted to share with you there. One is that the policy arc is long. It's fairly simple, which is helpful, but it is a long one. It takes persistence. So if you look at the debates over that began in the Title VII program around time limit for bilingual education, it really has to do with how long it takes kids to attain proficiency in English. This is an issue that keeps popping up. It popped up in Prop 227 with Ron Unz around the 1-year limit, a time limit in programs. So these are the policy issues around that we deal with tend to have long arcs. So we have to be persistent. We have to be prepared for defeats and to recover from them. But that understanding that the arc is a long one. Another lesson, I think, is just to look for good people to influence you and to open doors. into ways in which you can do your work. And some of that may just come from people that are not part of the structure that we live in. They may just be people that you run into, practitioners who change the way you think about problems, or introduce you to people or problems of practice, and are willing to open doors. Third lesson I'd say is find a good connection between your research and policy levers, and to stick to it. Castañeda has been a very, very important kind of gateway for me between research and policy and practice. And I keep coming back to it as a way of thinking about how research connects with practice. I've also found the whole notion of English language proficiency standards and accountability as an important window around which some of our issues play out. I wanted to then end by talking about some challenges over the horizon. We had a good outcome in this last election, but it's only very much a partial outcome. Underneath the non-existent blue wave, but under the win at the top of the ticket was a red wave. And so there's going to be some challenges. Not everything is going to move our way. I think it's important to recognize right now that even the establishment that we think of as friendly to bilingual education has not always been friendly to bilingual education. We talked during the Reagan era about the New York Times liberals. New York Times kept running editorials questioning bilingual education, that they very much embraced the traditional views of immigration and assimilation as the conventional model. And I think that's very much well and alive, even among those who voted for Biden. And so if you, I think we can expect that while some of the most egregious harm done against immigrants and their communities will be turned around, that the view of bilingual education will remain, I would say, in the category of skeptical or maybe tolerance, but not an embrace. So I think that what I would say there is just stick very much to the asset view of bilingualism. That let's be careful about just getting too enthusiastic about bringing bilingualism into the arena of civil rights or human rights, even though that may be in our belief that the population the majority may not be in that framework. But I think continuing to talk about the assets of bilingualism and to advocate for programs that honor that, and then also share it with the English majority population through dual language programs and so forth. All of those, I think, are things that we really need to keep pushing forward. So my time is up, and I'd love to engage in any conversations about this offline. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Hakuda Kenji, for your wonderful lessons and contributions. I think it's reminds us all, right, of the challenges that we still face going forward and the work still to do. So thank you for those reminders and also the lessons that you learned in the process of your own career. Thank you. So Maria Cody is going to lead us in our first book raffle.
All right, welcome everybody. My job is simple. I'm so nice to see friendly faces. I am picking 3 names for the first 3 books that were donated to our SIG from the last year. And I'm going to pick names and see if people are actually here, and we'll go through. The first name I have is Eric Chao Peña, and I think that is Maria, related to Maria. So this is the first book winner that we have so far. Okay. Second one we have is, it's a book, it's Abriendo Brecha, and I have Ana Saldivar. Is Ana here? Yeah, okay.
That's my sister.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Thank you, Veronica. Okay, good. So far, we're 2 for 2. Okay, and the third book to give away, and I'll get the addresses and send you. The third book is, I have Chris Faltis. Is Chris here with us? I don't know if Chris is with us, but we can get in touch with Chris. Okay, for that. Okay, and I am going to turn it over to the next award. We're back to Veronica.
Yeah, so I just wanted to spend a little bit of time just doing a very quick shout out to the 2019-2020 working groups that worked so hard last year in putting together an amazing array of activities and events and newsletters and communications to keep us all moving forward. And so I just want to, again, take a few minutes. I know we're close to time to just quickly go through their names of the chairs and the members of those committee. First one is the mentoring working group that was chaired by Kristen Pratt with committee members Mandy Stewart, Sandra Quiñones, Claudia Rodriguez Mojica. Yay. Newsletter working group chaired by, the social media working group chaired by Sandra Lu Bonanno. Committee members Catherine Henderson, Suzanne Garcia Mateas, Luz Maldonado, Lindsay Schultz, and Natalie Batista Morales. Thank you. The advocacy, the newsletter working group chaired by Laura Hyman, and committee members Garrett Delavan, Maria Luisa De Stefano, Lisa Dorner, and Rabia Hos.
Yay.
Yay. And finally, our advocacy working group, Gumiko, was Monobi was chair, Allison Briseño was part of the committee, Ryan Pontier, Molly Ham Rodriguez, and Leah Duran were all members of that committee. And again, thank you to all of you for your incredible efforts over 2019-20. Despite COVID hitting us in the middle of, towards the end of that year, we accomplished a lot in 2019-2020, and it was largely thanks to you. In addition to the efforts of the working group that make us the strong SIG that we are, it's also important to recognize all the accomplishments that all of you had in 2019 and 2020. So in an effort to try to provide a space for all of us to share those accomplishments, we've created the list of potential areas in which you might have had a significant accomplishment, right? Whether that was a new publication, a new book that came out, a promotion, passing your exams, receiving an award, making a policy change, right? Whether that's at the local, state, or federal level. So we wanted to encourage you to basically use the space of the chat to note down those accomplishments that you've made so that we all have an opportunity to celebrate that. Among these accomplishments, right, we have some of our colleagues that will be retiring or that retired last year. Please also acknowledge those and share those in the chat so that we can take a moment to just acknowledge everything that everybody has accomplished this past year. So please feel free to continue to post on the chat. We're actually saving that, and we'll use that information to actually share that within our website and on Facebook and Twitter. So please continue to post that on the chat room as we continue forward. Again, I want to take this moment for all of us to just share applause and open up and unmute to be able to loudly cheer for the people that have made all these accomplishments in 2019 and 2020.
Yay, congratulations.
Yay.
Congratulations, everybody.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
and congratulations on making it through COVID-19 so far. Everybody, we have one more book raffle. We have a few more books to give away. So hang on. We have Maria that's going to lead us through a couple of more book giveaways before we come back for our final despedida.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so exciting. So great to see everybody again. And so truly a community of scholars and a family. I appreciate everybody. We have 4 more books to give away. So I have the hat here and I will be just drawing names in front of me. The first one is the book by Maria Teresa de la Piedra, and it's Educating Across Borders. So I have this, I'm gonna reach in and, all right. I have Ali Babino, okay. Okay.
Yay! Congratulations.
Congratulations. And I have several more of Michael's wonderful book. It's Michael and Maria, Lucinda, and Kathy Escamilla that wrote this book, and they were so generous to donate these copies to the SIG this year. So I have a few of these copies, and I'm going to reach in and have Abigail Marshall, and I think I saw her enter the event. So there we go. I have another copy.
Yay.
Let's see. I'm doing the old-fashioned way, Evan Zimmerman. So I will reach out to Evan. And the next copy.
Congratulations.
Last copy, congratulations, is to Dr. Sharon Ulanoff.
Yay! Congratulations, Sharon.
And I'll reach out with snail mail, and I want to thank especially Veronica for leading us during as a SIG. A tremendous amount of work goes on behind the scenes in the SIG, and I'm sure you all know that and appreciate her dedication and love for the work that we all do, and leading us through the most unprecedented and rocky time ever that we have managed to stay together as a community. And from the bottom of my heart, for sure, Vera, what a leader and mentor. And thank you very, very much, and for taking us through into this year. Very much appreciated. So thank you, and I wish everybody, yes, the very best.
Thank you, everyone. I just want to thank you so much for just your friendship, your care. Keep reaching out to each other, especially in these times. It's especially important for us to maintain those connections. So stay safe, everyone. Stay healthy. And thank you for everything you do every day.
Yes.
Have a good evening.
And cheers. Cheers to everybody.
And thank you, Maria, Deb, Cohen, Nuo.
Take off your mutes and cheer away as you're saying goodbye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Look around and say hello.
Everyone.
Great event.
Bye,
everyone.
Bye, all. Thanks.
Congratulations, Maria.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you. Deb, it's so funny because you put
I
in the
understand
chat
you're in
retiring.
Laredo, my hometown. Oh, you're muted.
I put in the chat retiring, yeah.
And I was like, wait, Deb is retiring? And then you put it, and then you put in parenthetical. And I was like, oh, okay.
Chris is muted.
My colleague.